Hello, hello, hello. Right? We won! Yoo-hoo! Yes, you won, and I won, and Blender won, right? Yes, cheer for yourself. So the whole industry wants us to be on board. You have to be part of the industry. And not only that, it looks like as if Blender is going to be the new industry standard, right? Woo! So that's so awesome. So I want to show two little excerpts from what he said to Google people about winning.
And sometimes the rebel army would win. And the guy in the back of the pickup truck would end up in the palace. The word win-win. How many of you have heard that term in the last week, would you say? How many of you have used that term recently? Double the pleasure, double the fun. What I want to suggest today is that win-win is a more sinister and dangerous ideology than we recognize. Win-win starts to mean that the only kind of social change that is acceptable, or the kind that should get the most funding and the most attention, is the kind of social change that kicks something up to the power. The only kinds of social change that are good are the kind that don't cause problems, don't ruffle feathers, don't blame anybody, don't accuse anybody, don't have perpetrators, just solves a problem in a way that is a win for the people you're helping, and frankly, a win for those who are helped.
And people were telling me things like, hey Tom, are you now going to listen to us, to the industry? Are you now going to do things that will help us? Are you going to give professional support, services, dedicated private channels, the business class entry to the bug tracker, or are we going to have something that will help the industry? I don't want this thing to be trickling up, right? We have to do the other way around. And that is to say to the industry, join us, right? Come on board with Blender, with us and the community. So why is it, right? Why are people using Blender? So why is this thing taking off so much, right? It's not about the left mouse click or about a little bit maybe, or the 2.8. Of course, it helped a lot. I said community. That's a community. So, what do you mean? Well, if you want anything with 3D online, as an animator, as a modeler, or as anyone who's interested in 3D, you end up with Blender. It's the whole social media, it's all the thousands of websites, there's this gigantic community of people online who help out each other, and who share, and who show their work. You have choices to make, so why do you want to use Blender? They say, well, because you guys care, right? And that's right. Because I care a lot about what I'm doing. I'm super enthusiastic and passionate about 3D. And I know that everybody who's involved with Blender has that same passion and enthusiasm for what you do. We truly care. I care about the users, I care about the software, and I care about making awesome things with the software. And it's about the community who brought back the sources when the company went bankrupt. It's about all the bold artists and developers who came to Amsterdam make open movies. It's about the Blender.org project who proved that you can make big leaps for 2.5 and 2.8, that you can actively innovate. It's about all the independent websites and businesses that are popping up everywhere around Blender. Now I have to show you this diagram. This is the golden circle from Simon Sinek. Why do people want this? Why do people want to buy our product? And I think for Blender, we have this clear, the why. And the why is the community, our social ecosystem. It's our passion, that we really care. And it's our story, that will have many more chapters. The how is open source, free software. And those things are beautifully connected together. And that makes the product. And this is unbeatable, and that's why I think Blender is a completely unstoppable force. Let's talk about the future. So I will step down as chairman of Blender Foundation, one day in the future, right? I got you. I'm already setting up the Blender development project as almost an independent entity. I'm not developing anymore. I'm pushing a little bit, but we have a fantastic team who takes care of Blender and brings it further. There's a couple of things that will happen in the coming years. One is the Institute will become a real working company owned by the foundation. That will be just one unit. The Institute is, for example, organizing the conferences, having the offices, making sure that developers are being managed, and do all kinds of things to make sure that Blender is being organized very well. Find directors to join the foundation, especially for operations, a person, and a person for development. Then I want to install a foundation supervisor board. That's the people who can come in once per year to look at how things go, approve on the budget, and say, it's good, or right? We have to do something else. We have to implement engineering practices. I find those horrible and boring, but it helps to get more developers on board, especially more professional developers, who want to be able to understand how the software works without having to read 100,000 lines of code. Solidify the Blender project for the future. That will keep me occupied for a couple of years. So really, what about me? Because I have my own passions and desires as well, right? I still have this project going. This is the Agent 327, it's our Dutch spy movie. Whenever I have time available, I want to push this further and make sure that we can make this film, of course, with open source and Blender and in the Blender Animation Studio. Blender Cloud, we want to work on growing that further and really explain to people that actually the cloud is like the studio. And if you grow the cloud, it can become an independent production company. It's a place where people can make high quality, industry level content, fully independent and supported by a community. So I have another announcement. I'm going to work on Cosmos School. So there's a little disclaimer here. We're still working on getting the story to really fleshed out very well. But if the story works, then we will decide to pick it up. Thank you to our sponsors, right? And thank you for listening to me.